All right, what do you got, Spencer?
UFOs,
All right.
or as they
UFOs.
call them now, UAPs.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah, why did the government change that?
I don't know, because there's a lot of clips. There's like a lot of stuff about them being underwater.
The aerial
Are
phenomenon.
they unidentified submersible? Are there USPs? Is that the other one?
Yep, UFOs. The
I
UFOs.
feel like as time's going on, we're being more conditioned via the media to accept this. What do you think? Do you think they know something and they're not telling us?
Yeah, probably. But a lot of times, like when weird stuff comes out, like that Tic Tac.
The Tic Tac one?
They just they have a big news story and then they release it and then it's just on the internet, but it's never talked about in the news. It's like,
right.
Hey, look over here, but then we got something over here that we've been hiding for 50 years.
There's like, I don't know, how much is an F-18 cost? Like
billions of dollars.
Is it
probably.
billions?
I don't know.
They were tracking that Tic Tac, and it dropped, like, how far did it drop towards the water? Like,
it was like thousands of feet. I think it was like
that, and just hovered above the water, and they're like, we don't know what that's supposed to be. We don't know what that is. Did you ever hear of the Phoenix Lights?
What one is that?
The big one? In Phoenix, Arizona, there was a sighting where there was
it the triangle?
The triangle one, and it was like massive, like football fields large, and it blocked the sky, and like tons of people saw it, and then the government was like, no, it was nothing. You didn't see anything. Don't worry about it.
They're probably testing like new, like military grade
right.
weapons and stuff.
So that's kind of the thing, is if you see a UFO, people equate that with aliens automatically sometimes. It's like that could be something that was just made in a base in Nevada and they're just testing it, a new weapon or a new craft of some sort.
Yeah, because Los Alamos is where, New Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's not far from Phoenix at all, especially for plane travel.
Right.
And if you can go hundreds of miles an hour, you can be gone in a second.
Right. I like, did you see the Bob Lazar? Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
What do you think about his story? You think he's telling the truth?
I want him to be telling the truth.
Right. It's hard to tell. I'm not sure. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast on YouTube, and he said something that the one that they were trying to replicate was an archaeological discovery. It didn't crash, and I thought that was interesting. Like, what if it's been there for a really long time?
What was like the mineral or component he was?
Element 115.
Yeah, that wasn't that like what he worked on?
Mm-hmm.
See, I think what he's telling about Area 51 is true. Like how like you work in a department and like if you talk to other people about your department, like you get fired or whatever.
Right. I could see that being a case. I could see that
totally.
So he said it was weird. They had element 115, which is typically unstable. Well, these crafts were outfitted with a stable isotope of it, and they would stack hockey puck type things on top of one another, and that would somehow propel the craft.
That was like the fuel source?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but that was something like that was what he was working on, which is interesting.
The aliens come to Earth to harvest our gold for fuel.
Right.
And then Daniel Craig has to stop them.
Right. The U.S. government made him a deal. We'll give you all the gold we have in Fort Knox.
Right.
You're allowed to abduct who you want. Do what you got to stick, whatever you got to stick up their butts, put them back. You can have any of the cows, but you have to give us technology, because they came here to get their ship and their dead friends back from Roswell, and the government was like, no, but we'll make you a trade. You can take anything else. You have to leave the ships. You can take their bodies.
Experiment on them.
You can have our gold for your atmosphere if you need it.
Fire in the Sky, where that guy got abducted for however long, and then he came back and was like...
Is that Travis Walton?
Yeah, I believe so.
The lumberjack guy?
Yeah.
Do you think he's telling the truth?
I don't know. I want him to.
I
don't know if he's...
It's hard to... I don't know. It's tough. His story is so far-fetched. I just don't see it as being true.
Because wasn't there a wife and husband couple that got abducted too? The Hill...
Barney and Betty Hill? Yeah. It was a couple. They got abducted, and they were like... Betty Hill said something about the word yellow, And the aliens were like, well, what's yellow? So they spoke English, and they didn't know what yellow... I don't know. It seems kind of far-fetched to me.
See, I kind of wish like all of them were telling the truth. It'd just be cool.
It's just like Bigfoot hunters and stuff. Like, don't tell a lie, you know? Obviously, there's been a lot of disinformation within like the Air Force. Their goal was to pollute the water and put some truth with 98% lie. So it's like it muddies the water more and more. Don't help them do that. And just if you don't see something, don't say anything, you know?
You're helping the people that they're against.
Right.
I've been to Roswell. That was fun.
What was it like there?
Everything is aliens.
All alien-themed restaurants and stuff?
Like the McDonald's is a flying saucer shape.
That's so awesome.
Like
I've never been there. I'd like to go there.
It was pretty cool. They're just like, here's all the information, you decide if it's real or not. It's like all the declassified government documents and everything. And
there's some pretty interesting videos I've seen. There's one, I don't know what, it's a video of Earth from a space station or a satellite or something. I don't know what, but I don't know what continent it is, but it's facing Earth. And you see these, what's just debris, rocks of some sort or whatever, floating by. And then you see a bright flash from the surface of the Earth. And then one of the rocks just goes like this, and a huge beam of light like just barely misses it. Have you seen that before? I'll show you that. That's pretty interesting. So that's like, what the fuck was that supposed to?
it's
it
like
could be
laser
fake.
technology.
Right, it could be fake. I don't know.
I mean, HARP was a thing for a while. Mm-hmm. Like, to help us in war.
Right.
Like, oh, attack in 3 days. That way we'll send a storm your way, and then we have an advantage.
Right. I like when you go to Alaska and you hover over it, it's all blacked out. You can still kind of see on the edge of the blackout, you can see one of the antennas. They're like, oh, there it is.
But that got shut down, they say.
Right. Just like MK Ultra did. Of all the UFO stories that are real, what do you think is the most believable one?
I think Roswell.
I think so too. It's yet again, there's so many differing stories, but you know, the officers, they were Air Force, or was it Navy? It was Air Force where it happened, right?
I'm not sure who came and stole everything.
But they were there, and all of the people were like, yeah, there was a ship, there were bodies, and then someone
says it's a weather balloon.
And like, I think there were, that like the local news and everything came out and said, this is what, didn't the government?
I think there was, it was like in like local newspapers, like took pictures and stuff.
Right.
Like, before everything got taken away.
And then like 2 days later, the government came out and retracted everything, said, no, there was no craft. It was a weather balloon. There were no bodies. There was nothing that...
Because there's like metallic stuff on weather balloons and everything, especially like in the 50s.
And one of the people who were on site, I don't remember his name, but like he took a piece of it home to like show his kids. And like he said, this is what the craft was made out of. It was like tin foil. You could take it and crumple it up and squeeze it, but it would never break, and let go of it, and you could just pull it right back out and it was good to go again. What if we were the aliens? Do you ever think about that?
No, I haven't.
Do you ever think about like, we hear about these crafts and these things, they're from ancient civilizations that left Earth to find another home.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have an Albert Einstein, so they turned around and came back and they're like, oh, fuck, everything's broken. Everyone's dead, and now there's like monkey people running around.
What, Operation Paperclip? Isn't that where we took the Nazi scientists to go to the moon? Like, oh, well, if you help us, we'll disregard all your war crimes.
Was that what it was for, or was it to build the bombs?
We just used them because they were so far ahead of us, like scientifically. They're like, why should we like work on this for 10 years when we can just let these guys already be there? And then
didn't we make them a deal like, if you...
We'll pardon you or whatever.
We'll pardon you if you help, basically. Yeah. Huh.
But
it's one hell of a deal.
Like, I guess like to go to the moon, the math was like freshman level algebra.
Really?
Like, that's it. Like, it wasn't hard to go to the moon, like mathematically. It was just like getting the ship made and everything, like to withstand going through the atmosphere.
And then I like shows like Ancient Alien. I like that show a lot. Do you like that show?
I never got into it too much, but
I think it's believable. Like it's a possibility, you know. There's so
sure,
many
like-
people that subscribe to ancient religions but just discredit that. I never understood that. Like it's a total possibility.
What about like what's the do they call it, the gate of the gods or whatever? It's like
Right.
it's like that perfectly
In the
symmetrical.
desert,
yeah.
that thing.
It's like a perfect square
It's like
door.
it's a rock that someone carved a big door type thing into, and the lines are perfect. I don't know. And like people say it would be difficult to do that today. So how would these people from a long time ago figured it out unless they had help? And why would they just do it? Why would they just go out and do it unless there was a reason?
Right. Like you wouldn't just go to a
So-
rock and carve a door.
Right.
into it, like-
Ancient civilizations who they couldn't swing through T-Bell and grab food whenever they were hungry. They had to like go find shit to kill and eat. Why would they go out, trek into the desert, and then do this for no reason? You know, so I don't know. Ancient civilizations have always, or not always, but some of them report that there were beings that came down from outer space, came down from up there, and then just had a super advanced, they were worshipped as gods. Like the Sumerians worshipped the beings called the Anunnaki, who are these lizard, serpent,
Superhuman
bird
people.
people that came from space and taught them things about society, and they are worshipped as gods. So it's so muddied, you know. There's no evidence for any of that, but why would they just say that? You know.
Right. Like why would he make up the story?
Right. What's the big pictures is it the Nazca lines? Or is it the big pictures of the animals that you can only see if you're in the air over?
Like the mounds? Because I know like the old civilizations like made mounds like to honor their old dead, and like if you look from space, it's like a piece of artwork, kind of. Is that like what you're talking about? Or?
No, it's gonna bug. I have to look it up because it's gonna make me mad because we need to discuss that. So if I was an ancient person, I didn't have a toilet to shit in. Why would I go out in the desert and draw a picture that you can see only from the air, which people couldn't do? You know, allegedly.
Allegedly. Do you think like the Wright brothers were hated by the government?
No, I think they were just inventors. People probably thought they were crazy. They probably thought, like, fly in the air. What are you, crazy? You know, you're not a bird. Yeah. So the Nazca lines, like, look at that.
Oh yeah, those I've seen. Those.
Peruvian desert so large it can only be fully seen from the sky. What were they doing?
What's the dimensions of that? Does it say like how many miles?
Across nearly 200 square miles of high arid plateau. What were they doing? They weren't just going out there fucking around,
Plowing a field.
playing fucking Light Bright out in the desert with some shit, unless there was a reason.
Right.
Unless they got high on mushrooms and just were like, something told us to do this, so let's go do it. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows?
See, I want to become president one day, and then like release the Book of Secrets,
Right.
and then get assassinated the next day.
Right.